In 2024, in a landslide and with the popular vote, the whole of the American people decided to vest a single man, Donald Trump, to hunt down waste, fraud, and abuse. Because while maybe there are some type of programs that you might view as just, what I view as just is feeding the American people. What I view as just is filling the potholes, educating, healthcare, and the capacity to serve Americans. And so,
in this video, Sam Seder drops facts Benny Johnson just can't handle. And we watch how Benny tries to spin his usual chaos, throwing buzzwords like waste, fraud, and abuse, and ramble about transgender operas in Chile like that's somehow relevant in this situation, only to get absolutely dismantled by Sam Seder. Sam doesn't just push back at him, he pulls out receipts on tax cuts, lobbyists, and government spending while Benny just flails, deflects, and just kindless self-destructs in real time. Pierce just kinda referees this entire circus, but it's Sam who really keeps things grounded and exposes how empty Ben's whole shtick really is. So make sure to watch till the end to see how Sam Seder drops facts Benny Johnson just can't handle.
What America voted for was America first, and transgender operas in Chile isn't exactly America first. And to say that USAID was simply...
You've said a lot of words, but you've said nothing. You haven't addressed the Constitution, the Supreme Court cases, the Impoundment Control Act, none of that. You can say that you don't think it's right to feed starving children in Africa. That's your prerogative.
Can we address the feed starving children?
Donald Trump, I can't believe you're going with the starving children. You're going with a starving children.
No, it does. I mean, it does other things that you don't like.
All right, let me.
But it also does this.
Allow the lady in the room to speak, please.
USAID money spent.
Chaps, let Gillian have her say.
On feeding starving children or
guys,
in Ukraine.
Guys, let Gillian speak for a moment. Gillian.
The feeding starving children thing is such a frickin' red herring. So first of all, the vast majority of this USAID bloat and corruption does not go to that. Second of all, we have children starving here in America. But third of all, and what you don't know and what you have not looked into, okay, is that read a book. It's called Save 3 Lives. And it's by the Rodale family. And it has to do with the fact that our big ag companies went into the developed world to addict their soil to our GMO crops. It's a money laundering game. They can grow their crops in their soil far more efficiently and did for thousands of years before ConAgra and Cargill and Monsanto and ADM went in. You just don't know that because you haven't done your homework. So you're like, oh, there's children starving in Africa. When really, it is about billions of dollars going to big ag. That's what that's really about. And I've seen it firsthand when I went to South Sudan and stayed at a refugee camp. So don't play your starving children card. I can't.
Well, listen, it's not my card. It's just simply the reality. And the fascinating thing about this,
it is your card, though. Your game is like nobody's empathetic because children are starving.
We are talking about USAID is a percentage point, like literally less than 1% of the U.S. budget. But because there is this attitude amongst frankly, it's not just USAID. I don't like them cutting the IRS. I don't like them cutting the EPA. I don't like them cutting Labor Department. I don't like them cutting the National Labor Relations Board. I don't like them cutting the FDA.
Do you like the level of debt your country's in?
Okay, so right out the gate, Benny just drops this transgender operas in Chile line, like he's trying to break a record for the fastest pivot from America first to full-on nonsense. And like, what is that supposed to even mean? It's not just a distraction, it's literally gibberish masquerading as patriotism. Sam immediately cuts through the noise and just hits him with the basics. Constitution, Supreme Court precedent, the actual Control Act. Meanwhile, Benny's over here in full performative meltdown, tossing out Trump references like they're magic words. And then when Sam tries to press him, Benny just straight up derails and can't finish a coherent sentence. It's like watching someone try to freestyle with 0 bars. Jillian jumps in, and honestly, her rant's chaotic, but buried in the chaos, it's actually a pretty decent point. A lot of that foreign aid doesn't go where people actually think it goes. The starving children line might be overused, but she's right that Big Ag has gamified global aid to rake in billions. Still, even she ends up low-key yelling at Sam for something he didn't even say, which is just kinda wild. Sam brings it back though, calm, collected, with the actual numbers. USAID, less than 1% of the budget, but these people act like it's draining the treasury. Then he just lists off all the crucial departments they're gutting. IRS, EPA, FDA. Honestly, it just shows how disconnected Benny's whole America First shtick really is. Like the guys yelling about imaginary programs while cheerleading actual policy cuts that hurt working Americans.
I don't think it's as much of a problem as you do, but here we know the debt shot off like a rocket with the Bush tax cuts and then with the Trump tax cuts, and they want to extend those. And so if we want to deal with the debt, and if that's a genuine concern, we can go back to the time in this country where we had the greatest economic expansion during the 50s and the 60s, when we had a top tax marginal rate of 90%. Of every dollar that would be earned over $470,000. Today, it would be $3 million. And if these guys are very concerned about the debt and deficit, we have a way of raising that money. We can go back to the greatest economic time of this country. So if that's genuinely their concern, we have that power to do it. I mean, we're not spending, as a function of GDP, we're not spending significantly more per capita than we were in those years. The problem is that we don't have the revenue. There's been huge tax cuts for millionaires and billionaires and presided over by two Republican administrations over the past 20 years.
Okay, Benny, on that point, respond.
I love it. I love it. This is my favorite argument I've ever heard on your show. I love it. Go to the American people. Sam, I beg of you, join the DNC, run for DNC chair. I'll do anything, okay? I want your ideas to be the ideas that Democrats bring to the midterms and to the 2028 election. More IRS agents. Raise taxes to 90% of wages. I love it, Sam.
No,
how do I get you in the
wages,
chair, man?
90%
how do I do
every
it?
dollar.
How do I do it? Where can I donate, Sam?
Just send the money to me directly.
It's the greatest argument ever. You're right, Sam.
Taxing millionaires and billionaires actually does quite well in terms of polling. And when Americans see what wealth disparity looks like in this country today, when they actually see the wealth disparity,
we've seen
it's
wealth
quite
disparity.
popular.
It looks like a federal government that's $37 trillion in debt, spending money on total bullshit.
You don't know what wealth disparity means.
And absolute and total fraud. Hey, Sam, why don't you answer a quick question?
You can Google it and find out what it means.
Hey, Sam, why don't you answer a quick question for me? Why are the richest counties in all of America the 5 major counties in the DMV right around Washington, D.C.? Can you explain to me, what do those counties do? Are there some mineral deposits there I don't know about? Did they strike oil? Is there some type of rich industry that's created around Washington? Maybe you can answer me that question. Why are those people so filthy rich? You don't seem to like rich people, so maybe explain why.
I can answer that question.
What does D.C.
You want me to answer it?
Sam?
It's lobbyists. It's lobbyists like all of the ones that have been appointed to Donald Trump's cabinet and to political positions. Rich lobbyists for all sorts of these industries that you supposedly have a problem with. I mean, that's where all the money is being made. It's not being made by federal workers. It's being made by lobbyists.
This is where Sam just completely flips the narrative. While everyone is yelling about food aid and operas in Chile, he just calmly lays out how we actually got into this debt mess. It wasn't feeding kids or investing in labor. It was the Bush and Trump tax cuts. That's what sent the deficit skyrocketing. And Sam goes old school with the solution. Bring back the 90% top marginal tax rate, but only on income way over $3 million in today's dollars. It's not radical. It's literally what funded the greatest economic expansion in US history. And Benny just panics, like he goes full on sarcasm meltdown. He's mocking Sam, begging him to run the DNC, pretending he just endorsed taxing wages at 90%, which he didn't at all. Benny just can't counter the argument, so he just defaults to theater. Sam tries to keep it serious, even noting how polling shows Americans do support taxing the rich more once they understand what it actually looks like. And Ben even swerves again. This time it's a weird rant about how the richest countries in America are around DC. Like he's stumbled onto a conspiracy, and Sam just flatlines the whole thing with one word: lobbyists. That's where the money is. Not federal workers, not secret resources, just high-powered influence from corporate America, including a bunch of Trump cronies that Benny conveniently forgets to mention.
And those are sent by corporations. If you will join me as part of my campaign that you're interested in me running the Democratic Party, in calling for Donald Trump to fire all of the lobbyists he's hired so far, it wouldn't leave many people left in the government. But if you'll join me with that, we can start to chip away at that problem you have with the counties around DC.
We've just got some breaking news from this Keir Starmer Donald Trump encounter at the White House. In the Oval Office, Trump invited J.D. Vance to expand on his criticism of the UK for its free speech issues and alleged infringements in recent times. And he said, sitting opposite Sir Keir Starmer, we have a special relationship with the UK and our European friends, but there have been infringements on free speech. And Starmer hit back saying, we've had free speech for a very long time in Britain. It will last a long time, and we are very proud of that. So a bit of a battle, Benny. We talked just now about what was going on with the rape gang scandal in Britain, which was a proper scandal. Keir Starmer was not, in the end, proven to have suppressed any information about that. In fact, the opposite turns out to have been the case. He did more than his predecessor at Director of Public Prosecutions to try and go after them. But putting that to one side, I do think there has been some creeping infringement of freedom of speech rights. People getting, like grandmothers being arrested for stuff they're putting on Facebook is not indicative to me of a free democratic society working how it should.
Of course not. It's what the Gestapo used to do in East Berlin when half of the entire city were spies for the federal government and everyone's snitching on each other. By the way, Sam, I love this debate. Piers, this is why I love your show. Because I love free speech. And I love being able to give chin music, right, to some of the guests who might disagree with me. But it's crazy, Sam. I totally agree with you. Let's defund the lobbyists. I could not agree with you more. In fact, actually, I do want all of the
you call for Donald Trump to actually
off the glut
uphold his vow
of the federal
not
government.
To hire
I think that there should be a lifetime ban.
Let me get this very clear.
I think there should be a lifetime ban on lobbying for members of Congress. Lifetime ban. I think that lobbying should be severely curtailed in our federal government, and I think
should
that it
encourage
should be illegal.
Republican lawmakers to vote in favor of Ro Khanna's bill that he just introduced.
So yeah, by the end, Benny's doing this awkward pivot, like he was the anti-lobbyist all along. After ranting about spending the debt, throwing tantrums over food aid, and shouting nonsense about transgender operas, he just suddenly decides to agree with Sam. And Sam just immediately calls him out. No credit, no pass, just cool, back the bill then. And that's the thing, Benny's entire presence here, it's just his bias in action. The kind that just talks over facts, invents culture war nonsense, and folds the second it hits real resistance. That's not just a weak argument, it's what raw political bias looks like when it finally runs out of excuses. And speaking of biases, are you getting tired of getting news from biased news sources? One outlet says one thing, and another says the complete opposite? How are you supposed to know what's actually true? That's where ground news comes in. It lets you compare how different media outlets, whether it's left, right, or center, are covering the same story, so you can see the full picture instead of just the echo chamber. And here's the best part. Click the link in the description and get a 40% off the Vantage tier, which gives you even deeper insights in media bias and political trends. So stay informed, think for yourself, and check out ground news in the description down below.